appreciate the opportunity to be back here. If some of y'all remember, I was here 4 years ago. We're doing this a second time. In 2003, in January of 2003, the day that the Senate was going to maybe kick out Senator Lott. Remember, Senator Lott had some kind words to say and made a joke about Strom Thurmond. And the day they were going to have the Senate hearing, that happened to be the day I announced my candidacy. And at one point, I wasn't sure if anybody was going to cover that candidacy last time. But in 2003, I went around the state and I said there were 3 issues facing South Carolina: illegal immigration, our jobs, the economy, and South Carolina values. Ladies and gentlemen, 5 years later, it has gotten worse. And that's the problem, and that's why I'm here. A quick recap, I have 14 years of public service. I was the mayor of Myrtle Beach for the last 8 years. In that time, I've had plenty of battles, and I've spoken many times on taxes and being conservative. How many of y'all are taxpayers in the state of South Carolina, pay property tax? Okay, so there's a law in South Carolina, every 5 years there's a reassessment. And thanks to a challenge by the mayor of Myrtle Beach, I went to the Supreme Court. The way that a reassessment calculation is done, every taxpayer in South Carolina, whether you're a municipal, a county, special tax district, a school district, everybody in that there's a different way of calculating, because in the city of Myrtle Beach, the city of Myrtle Beach Council and their staff was ripping off the taxpayers in Myrtle Beach. They were just having a windfall tax collection. I fought it, argued against the budget, and went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled, and the state of South Carolina now does taxes in a different way. Also, y'all have Textile Hall here. You got $7 million from the state. I'm here on behalf of the city of Myrtle Beach to tell you thank you for giving $7 million to the city of Myrtle Beach. But during that time, I fought against that $7 million coming to the city of Myrtle Beach, because the agreement the city has with the council, unlike the improvements that have already been done in Textile Hall, if the city doesn't start construction of the new convention center in 5 years, the city has to give the money back. And at this time, there's no debt capacity, we have no ability, and the city of Myrtle Beach took $7 million from the state. I fought against that in regards to each and every one of you. And then also, on behalf of the city, I want to thank you for giving $2 million to Cal Ripken. You know you gave $2 million in the city of Myrtle Beach to Cal Ripken to build a private, for-profit baseball camp. Governor Sanford, through the Economic Development Board, gave $1 million for the roadway to go into the camp. The county gave $300,000, and then the city kicked in $700,000 in taxpayers' money for Cal Ripken's private, for-profit baseball camp. So as y'all, as taxpayers of the city, you gave the city $7 million for a convention facility they'll never be able to build, and you gave them $1 million for a roadway through the governor's office. So ladies and gentlemen, I've said all that to show that I do have a record of being prudent and responsible with taxes. And as it's been said, we have to go to the fair tax. We have to do something. We have to do something drastic in Washington. It's not working. I'm sick and tired of hearing the Republican Party, Fox News, Hannity, whoever it is, saying how great the economy is. In the last year, we've all watched since November the 12,000 people who write jokes for a living. And I'm not, you know, that's fine. But that, you know, all those 12,000 people were put out of jobs for 2 months. You realize in the state of South Carolina, in the last year, we've lost 13,000 manufacturing jobs that aren't ever coming back because of the trade policies that have been supported by Lindsey Graham. Yeah. We have to change our trade policies in Washington. Yeah. I've been married almost 21 years. My mother-in-law is from Pacolet, my father-in-law is from Anderson, and my wife grew up right here in Anderson. So I always like to say that, you know, I'm very closely related to Greenwood. Got married at the Earl Street Baptist Church. We have 3 children, and the reason why I'm into this election is because the people in South Carolina, elected officials, haven't protected my daughter. My daughter is 15 years old, and last year at the Myrtle Beach High School, back there's an amendment, SA 1184, Senate Amendment 1184, that failed last summer. And when that failed last summer, Jim DeMint was a co-sponsor along with Senator Cornyn of Texas. And what that amendment would have done would have permanently barred ever from being able to come into this country are rapists, terrorists, child molesters, domestic abuse, people with aliens with 3 DUIs and more. I mean, just the dregs of society. And there were 51 senators in the United States Senate, including John McCain, including Hillary Clinton and Obama, Feinstein, Kennedy, all agreed that that was okay. We weren't going to ban those people from ever having attendance into the country. And last year, my daughter was sexually harassed at the Myrtle Beach High School. Long story short, and I was at a soccer game. She played soccer. Doing the boys' soccer team, after the police had been there was a fight. Someone got cut, and during that hearing, the one boy in class to my daughter pulled his pants down to his ankles. And he was an illegal alien. And the first thing the administration said was, oh, we know the one kid wouldn't do it. He's a good kid. They tell their children if they don't act right, they'll get sent out of the country. The year before, my son was in a sophomore class. Homeroom class with a 19-year-old, can't speak English, but he was in a sophomore class. That afternoon, two illegal kids in Myrtle Beach High School went riding down Kings Highway, ran up over the curb, and Miss Dargan had happened to come out at that time to check her mail and was killed on her sidewalk. And no one is saying anything, ladies and gentlemen. Lindsey Graham has failed. I passed an ordinance 2 years. I was the first mayor in the state of South Carolina to pass an illegal immigration ordinance 2 years before Hazleton, Pennsylvania. 3 years before the failed amnesty of last summer, and 4 years before your own legislature is addressing it right now as we speak. I have a record of being responsible with taxes, and I have a record of being responsible on illegal immigration. We have to do something about it, ladies and gentlemen. I spoke last weekend in Beaufort. Afterwards, 2 people came up to me. A lady, we were going out to the car, and she said, Mark, I want to tell you, I'm supporting you because my husband is dead because of an illegal immigrant. No one was saying anything. She said her husband was coming home one night from work at Sears. Got into a wreck. She said he lived through the accident, but he had such injuries and facial problems and reconstructive surgeries. She said he lasted for a year and it just went downhill and he finally died. And then another lady came up to me and she said, Mark, 30 years ago, growing up in Texas, I've watched it and I've seen the harassment in the schools. How many of you think it's important to speak English? 92% of the Republicans, 85% of everybody in this country believe we should speak English. What did Senator Graham do? Senator Graham voted against it. He had agreed with President Bill Clinton's executive order that says the government needs to provide all the services in different languages. Executive order. In the morning he voted for it so he can stand up and tell everybody, I'm for English. That afternoon he voted to codify that executive order that the president passed. He has not done his job. And now he's telling you about how much he's doing to get $6 billion for terrorism. He asked for $3 billion in the Homeland Appropriation. He also asked for $3 billion in the Defense Appropriation. They're both gone. They're struck. They're gone. So he's not here tonight, but he has a nice campaign piece he'll be happy to show you, talking about what he fought to get his $3 billion. It's gone, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to admit, I didn't realize the Senate is not allowed by the Constitution to be the one that actually comes up with money items. Money items have to come out of the House. We all learn something as we go along. So that $6 billion is out. But even if he could put it in, last year, Senator Sessions of Texas asked for $89 million to hire more illegal enforcement agents. Senator Graham voted against $89 million last year. The year before, he was asked for $390 million to hire more agents, and that was from Senator Byrd. Maybe he didn't want to vote with that Democrat. But so 2 years ago, $390, last year, $89 million. This year, he asked for $6 billion so he can stand up and champion the cause. Ladies and gentlemen, the system is broken. You're not going to get anything different if you keep putting the same people in. It just doesn't work. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. I ask for your help. I ask you to take a stand. If you want to change, you have to elect someone that's willing to fight, go to Washington, and make a difference. And I'm ready to do that. I'm asking you for your support. Last time, that campaign lasted over a year, and I drove over 40,000 miles around the state. I'm already up to 6,000 miles this time. I have the experience. I'm the only one that's running that has an elected office experience, and the only one that's run for a public office statewide. I would ask for your support. Thank you very much.